The morning sun cast a golden glow across the Norfolk countryside as Sandringham House stirred to life on Christmas Day. Inside the grand estate, the royal family was preparing for one of their most cherished traditions, the walk to St. Mary Magdalene Church. The ancient house, which had been home to 4 generations of monarchs, buzzed with quiet activity as family members gathered from various wings of the sprawling property. King Charles stood at his bedroom window, adjusting his tie while gazing out at the frost-covered grounds. The sight of the church spire in the distance brought back memories of countless Christmas mornings from his childhood, when he would walk this same path with his parents and siblings. Now, as the head of the family, he felt the weight of continuing this beloved tradition that meant so much to both the royal family and the thousands of well-wishers who had lined the route. Queen Camilla emerged from her dressing room, elegant in a deep blue coat that complemented the winter morning perfectly. She had chosen her outfit carefully, knowing that every detail would be scrutinized by the press and public. More importantly, she wanted to honor the solemnity of the occasion while maintaining the approachable warmth that had become her trademark. Her jewelry was understated, but meaningful, pieces that reflected both her role and her personal style. Downstairs in the breakfast room, Prince William and Princess Catherine were helping their children prepare for the walk. Prince George, now a confident young man, was learning to balance his public role with the natural behavior of someone his age. Princess Charlotte chatted excitedly about seeing the crowds, while Prince Louis, still young enough to find the whole experience magical, bounced around the room with barely contained energy. The Princess of Wales moved with practiced grace, ensuring each child was properly dressed for both the weather and the cameras. She understood the delicate balance of allowing them to be children while preparing them for their public duties. Her own outfit struck the perfect note, festive yet respectful, modern yet timeless. The emerald green coat she had chosen seemed to capture the spirit of Christmas while photographing beautifully against the winter landscape. Princess Anne arrived from Gatcombe Park the evening before, bringing her characteristic no-nonsense approach to royal duties. She had attended this service for decades and understood its importance not just to the family, but to the local community and the Commonwealth realms watching from around the world. Her practical outfit reflected her personality, warm, appropriate, and completely unfussy. The Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh had driven up from Bagshot Park with their children. Prince Edward, always meticulous about protocol, reviewed the walking order with his private secretary, while Sophie ensured that Lady Louise and James, Earl of Wessex, were ready for what would be a relatively formal family outing with global attention. Throughout the house, protection officers conducted final security sweeps while maintaining the relaxed atmosphere that the family treasured during their private time together. The Royal Protection Unit had been coordinating with local police for weeks, ensuring that the traditional walk could proceed safely while allowing the public their cherished glimpse of the royal family. In the kitchen, staff prepared thermoses of hot tea and coffee for the family's return, knowing that the Norfolk winter could be biting. The housekeeper checked that the cars were ready as backup transportation, though the family much preferred the traditional walk when weather permitted. This year, the crisp morning air and clear skies promised perfect conditions for the short journey. Lady-in-waiting arrangements were finalized, though for this informal family occasion, the usual court protocols were relaxed. Private secretaries coordinated with the church wardens to ensure smooth logistics, while press officers confirmed final details with the media representatives who would document this annual tradition. The youngest members of the family gathered in the main drawing room, where a magnificent Christmas tree stood adorned with decorations collected over generations. The children examined gifts that had been exchanged the previous evening, following the family's German tradition of opening presents on Christmas Eve. The excitement of Christmas morning mixed with anticipation for the public appearance ahead. Breakfast was a relatively informal affair, though served on the finest china befitting the occasion. Conversation flowed easily between family members, touching on everything from Christmas plans to observations about the crowds that were already beginning to gather along the route. The king shared stories of Christmas mornings from his own childhood, delighting his grandchildren with tales of sledding on the estate grounds and elaborate Christmas productions organized by their great-grandmother. As the appointed hour approached, family members began gathering their coats, gloves, and scarves. The Queen's handbag was checked to ensure it contained everything needed for the service, while the men adjusted their overcoats and ensured their programs were in order. The children were given final reminders about walking pace and public behavior, delivered with the gentle but firm guidance that royal children had received for generations. Outside, the Norfolk morning had settled into the perfect Christmas Day atmosphere. The grounds of Sandringham stretched endlessly under a light covering of frost, while bare tree branches created intricate patterns against the pale winter sky. In the distance, the bells of St. Mary Magdalene could be heard beginning their Christmas morning call to worship, a sound that had marked this day for the royal family for over a century. The family began to assemble in the main entrance hall, a magnificent space that had welcomed royalty and dignitaries for generations. Final adjustments were made to collars and hats, while protection officers took their positions both inside and outside the house. The atmosphere was one of cheerful anticipation mixed with the quiet reverence appropriate for Christmas morning. As they prepared to step outside into the public eye, each family member carried with them not just their personal Christmas joy, but the knowledge that they were participating in a tradition that connected them to their ancestors and to the millions of people around the world who would share in this moment through television coverage and photographs. The simple walk to church had become something much larger, a symbol of continuity, faith, and the enduring role of the monarchy in British life. The heavy wooden doors of Sandringham House opened to reveal the royal family ready to begin their treasured Christmas morning walk. The Norfolk air was crisp and invigorating, carrying the scent of winter countryside and the distant sound of church bells calling the faithful to worship. As they stepped onto the gravel drive, the family was greeted by brilliant sunshine that made the frost-covered grounds sparkle like scattered diamonds. King Charles led the way, his confident stride reflecting years of experience in public ceremonies. He paused momentarily to appreciate the beautiful morning, a smile crossing his face as he breathed in the fresh country air. This walk represented everything he loved about the Christmas tradition at Sandringham: the blend of family intimacy with public service, the connection to the local community, and the opportunity to share their faith publicly. The family naturally fell into formation as they made their way toward the estate gates. Years of experience had taught them the optimal walking arrangement that would allow photographers the best views while maintaining family groupings. Prince William and Princess Catherine walked together, occasionally glancing back to ensure their children were managing the pace comfortably. Prince George walked with the confidence of someone growing into his future role, while Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis chatted quietly between themselves, their excitement barely contained despite their careful royal training. The children had been preparing for this moment for weeks, practicing their public behavior while being reminded that this was, above all, a family celebration of Christmas. As they approached the gates of Sandringham House, the first glimpse of the waiting crowds came into view. Hundreds of people had gathered along the route, some arriving before dawn to secure the best viewing positions. The sight of so many well-wishers brought genuine smiles to the royal faces, transforming what could have been a formal procession into a warm community celebration. The gates opened to reveal a scene that had become one of the most beloved images of the British Christmas. Union Jacks and Norfolk flags fluttered in the gentle breeze, while people of all ages pressed against the barriers with cameras, phones, and simply radiant smiles. Many had traveled considerable distances for this opportunity, treating the royal Christmas walk as their own family tradition. Children in the crowd waved enthusiastically, their excitement infectious as the royal family emerged onto the public road. Princess Catherine was particularly drawn to the young faces in the crowd, offering special waves and smiles that would become treasured memories for families. Her natural warmth with children was evident as she made eye contact with the youngest spectators. The route to St. Mary Magdalene Church stretched for approximately half a mile through the Norfolk countryside, lined with ancient trees and traditional stone walls. The path had been carefully prepared, with barriers positioned to ensure both public access and royal safety. Local police officers, many of whom had worked this detail for years, exchanged friendly nods with regular attendees who had become familiar faces at royal events. Queen Camilla moved gracefully through the crowd interactions, her years of public service evident in her comfortable rapport with well-wishers. She paused frequently to accept flowers, particularly from children who had clearly spent considerable effort preparing their offerings. Her genuine interest in each interaction transformed brief moments into meaningful exchanges. Princess Anne's practical approach to royal duties was evident as she maintained steady progress while still acknowledging the crowds. Her decades of experience showed in her ability to balance efficiency with accessibility, ensuring that the family maintained their schedule while allowing meaningful public contact. Her understated elegance and purposeful manner embodied the working royal approach she had perfected over her long career. The Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh walked with their characteristic blend of formality and approachability. Prince Edward's attention to protocol ensured smooth logistics, while Sophie's natural warmth created genuine connections with the crowds. Their children navigated the public attention with increasing confidence, reflecting their parents' careful preparation for royal life. Local residents formed a significant portion of the crowd, people who lived and worked in the Norfolk area year-round and considered the royal family genuine neighbors during their Sandringham stays. These familiar faces brought special warmth to the interactions, representing relationships built over years of community involvement and local patronage. The media presence was substantial but carefully managed, with photographers and cameramen positioned at designated points along the route. The images captured would appear in newspapers, websites, and television broadcasts around the world, making this small Norfolk church walk a global Christmas moment. The family had long since grown comfortable with this attention, understanding it as an essential part of their public role. Flowers, cards, and small gifts accumulated in royal hands as the walk progressed. Protection officers quietly collected items that couldn't be carried, ensuring that each offering would be properly acknowledged later. The genuine appreciation shown for these gestures reflected the family's understanding of what this moment meant to the people who had come to share it. The pace was deliberately measured, allowing time for interactions while ensuring arrival at the church according to schedule. Years of experience had taught the family exactly how to time their progress, accounting for the natural desire to connect with as many well-wishers as possible while respecting the service timing. Conversations among family members continued as they walked, maintaining the natural family dynamic despite the public setting. The children pointed out interesting decorations in the crowd or commented on particularly elaborate outfits, their observations bringing quiet laughter that humanized the formal occasion. The sound of St. Mary Magdalene's bells grew stronger as they approached the church, the ancient bronze calling across the Norfolk landscape, just as it had for centuries. This sound had welcomed royal family members to Christmas worship for generations, creating an unbroken chain of tradition that connected past and present. As the church spire came into clearer view, the family's anticipation for the service itself became evident. For many of them, this represented the spiritual heart of their Christmas celebration, a moment to reflect on faith and gratitude away from the public ceremonies and obligations that defined much of their royal life. The final approach to the church would bring new crowds and different protocols, but for now, the family savored this perfect Norfolk morning, surrounded by genuine goodwill and sharing their Christmas joy with people who had become part of their extended royal family through years of faithful attendance at this cherished annual tradition. The ancient stone walls of St. Mary Magdalene Church came into full view as the royal family rounded the final bend of their Christmas morning walk. The small Norfolk church, with its Norman tower dating back to the 16th century, had served as the spiritual home for the royal family at Sandringham for over 150 years. Its modest size and simple beauty embodied the more intimate side of royal tradition, far removed from the grandeur of Westminster Abbey or St. George's Chapel. A larger crowd had gathered around the church grounds, with people positioned along both sides of the pathway leading to the main entrance. Many held small British flags, while others clutched cameras to capture this moment they had waited hours to witness. The atmosphere was festive yet respectful, with a quiet reverence appropriate for approaching a place of worship on Christmas morning. Local church wardens stood ready to welcome the royal family, their faces beaming with pride at hosting this annual tradition. These volunteers, many of whom had served the parish for decades, considered themselves custodians not just of the church building, but of this cherished royal connection. Their careful preparations ensured that every detail would honor both the religious significance of the day and the special nature of their royal guests. As they approached the church gate, the royal family paused to acknowledge a group of local school children who had prepared a special Christmas song. The children's voices rose clear and sweet in the morning air, singing traditional carols that had echoed in this same location for generations. Princess Catherine and Queen Camilla were particularly moved by the performance, their genuine appreciation evident as they applauded the young singers. The church pathway, lined with ancient yew trees and winter flower arrangements prepared by parish volunteers, created a beautiful approach to the service. Local gardeners had worked throughout the week to ensure that the grounds reflected the significance of both Christmas Day and the royal visit. Wreaths of holly and ivy adorned the church entrance, while small Christmas trees flanked the doorway. Prince William and Princess Catherine took a moment to speak with some of the children in the crowd, their own experience as parents evident in their easy rapport with the young well-wishers. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis watched their parents' interactions with obvious pride, learning through observation how to balance royal duty with genuine human connection. The church bells reached their crescendo as the family approached the entrance, the bronze voices calling across the Norfolk countryside and announcing the arrival of Christmas morning worship. These same bells had rung for royal christenings, weddings, and memorial services, their sound carrying the weight of history and tradition through the rural landscape. Inside the church, the congregation was already seated, representing a careful balance of local parishioners, estate workers, and invited guests. Many were familiar faces who attended services throughout the year, while others had received special invitations to join this Christmas celebration. The intimate size of the church meant that every seat was precious, and the selection process reflected both community ties and long-time royal connections. The church interior had been decorated with understated elegance, befitting both the sacred nature of the space and the significance of the occasion. Local flower arrangers had created beautiful displays using traditional Christmas greenery mixed with white flowers, while candles provided warm lighting that enhanced the ancient stone architecture. The decorations honored centuries of Christmas worship while celebrating this particular Christmas morning. As the royal family paused at the church entrance for final photographs, they were joined by other family members who had arrived separately. The complete royal party represented multiple generations, each bringing their own perspective to this shared tradition. Younger members learned from their elders, while the senior royals found joy in sharing this meaningful experience with the newest generation. The church organist began the prelude music, filling the sacred space with familiar Christmas melodies that would accompany the family's entrance. The instrument, a restored Victorian organ that had provided music for countless royal services, added its voice to the morning celebration. Its rich tones seemed to embrace both the intimate congregation and the ancient walls that had witnessed centuries of worship. Local clergy waited inside to welcome the royal family, their preparations reflecting months of planning for this annual service. The vicar had carefully crafted a sermon that would speak to both the local congregation and the global audience watching through television coverage, balancing pastoral care with the broader significance of the Christmas message. Queen Camilla accepted a final bouquet from a young girl at the church entrance, bending down to speak quietly with the child and her family. These personal moments, brief but heartfelt, transformed the formal occasion into something more intimate and human. The genuine warmth of such interactions reflected the family's understanding that their public role was ultimately about service to people. The family's entrance into the church would mark the transition from public walkabout to private worship, though cameras would continue to document portions of the service. Inside the sacred space, they would participate in Christmas liturgy that connected them not only to their own family traditions, but to Christians around the world celebrating the birth of Christ. As they prepared to enter St. Mary Magdalene, each family member carried with them the joy of the morning's interactions with well-wishers, the beauty of the Norfolk countryside on Christmas morning, and anticipation for the spiritual reflection that would anchor their holiday celebration. The simple church entrance represented a threshold between their public duties and their private faith, both essential elements of their Christmas tradition. The final moments before entering the church allowed for last acknowledgments of the crowd, final waves to children, and quiet words of Christmas greeting exchange between family members. The transition from the bright Norfolk sunshine to the warm, candlelit interior of the church would complete their journey from Sandringham House to this sacred space where Christmas worship awaited. Protection officers took their positions around the church perimeter while maintaining the peaceful atmosphere that made this tradition so special. Their professional vigilance allowed the royal family to participate fully in both the public celebration and the private worship that formed the dual nature of their Christmas morning experience at St. Mary Magdalene Church. The heavy oak doors of St. Mary Magdalene Church closed gently behind the royal family as they entered the sacred space that had welcomed their ancestors for Christmas worship since Queen Victoria's time. The interior of the ancient church created an atmosphere of intimate reverence, far different from the grand state occasions held in larger royal venues. Here, surrounded by simple stone walls and stained glass windows that had witnessed generations of royal prayers, the family could experience Christmas worship in its most personal form. The congregation rose as the royal family made their way to the front pews, reserved for their use through decades of tradition. Local parishioners, estate workers, and longtime neighbors filled the modest wooden pews, their faces reflecting the joy of sharing this sacred moment with people they had come to regard as part of their extended community. Many had attended this service for years, creating relationships that transcended the formal boundaries typically associated with royal encounters. King Charles took his place in the front pew, his bearing reflecting both the solemnity of worship and the personal significance this service held for him. Throughout his life, Christmas morning at St. Mary Magdalene had provided a constant anchor point, connecting his childhood memories with his current responsibilities as head of both family and nation. The familiar surroundings brought comfort and continuity to a life often marked by constant change and public scrutiny. The church's Victorian organ filled the sacred space with the opening hymn, its rich tones enhanced by the excellent acoustics of the stone interior. The royal family joined their voices with those of the congregation, participating fully in worship that connected them to Christians around the world celebrating Christmas morning. Their participation was genuine and engaged, reflecting faith traditions that had shaped royal life for generations. Prince William and Princess Catherine sat with their children, quietly helping them follow along with the service while allowing them to experience this important family tradition. Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis followed the proceedings with the careful attention they had been taught, while Prince George demonstrated increasing maturity in his understanding of both the religious significance and public nature of the occasion. The vicar's Christmas sermon spoke directly to themes of service, gratitude, and community responsibility, messages that resonated particularly deeply with a family whose lives were dedicated to public duty. The words seemed crafted to speak simultaneously to the intimate congregation present and the broader audience watching through television coverage, balancing pastoral care with recognition of the unique circumstances surrounding this royal Christmas service. Queen Camilla's attention to the service demonstrated her deep appreciation for these moments of spiritual reflection away from the constant demands of royal schedules. Her participation in the liturgy reflected years of growing comfort with royal traditions while maintaining her own authentic approach to faith and public service. The quiet dignity with which she engaged in worship had become one of her defining characteristics as queen. Throughout the service, the presence of television cameras remained unobtrusive, capturing moments for global broadcast while respecting the sacred nature of the occasion. The delicate balance between public interest and private worship had been perfected over years of experience, allowing the royal family to participate meaningfully while sharing their Christmas celebration with millions around the world. Princess Anne's straightforward approach to royal duties was evident even in worship, her participation reflecting the no-nonsense dedication that had characterized her decades of public service. Her presence added continuity to the occasion, linking current celebrations with the long history of royal Christmas worship at this same location. Her practical faith matched her approach to royal responsibilities, both grounded in service and commitment. The Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh participated with the quiet efficiency that marked their approach to royal life, ensuring their children understood both the religious significance and family importance of the tradition. Prince Edward's careful attention to protocol was balanced by Sophie's natural warmth, creating an example of how royal duty could be combined with genuine spiritual engagement. Local choir members, many of whom had prepared for months for this opportunity, led the congregation in traditional Christmas carols that had echoed in this space for centuries. Their voices, trained through years of regular worship together, created beautiful harmonies that enhanced the intimate atmosphere of the small church. The music selection balanced familiar favorites with pieces that held special meaning for the local parish community. During moments of silent prayer, the royal family joined in personal reflection that connected their individual faith journeys with their shared family traditions. These quiet interludes provided rare opportunities for private contemplation away from the constant public attention that defined most aspects of their lives. The authentic spirituality of these moments added depth to what might otherwise be seen as simply ceremonial obligations. The collection during the service provided an opportunity for the royal family to contribute to local church activities and charitable causes, continuing their long-standing support for the parish community. Their participation in this ordinary aspect of church life demonstrated the genuine nature of their involvement in local religious life beyond the formal ceremonies that attracted media attention. As the service progressed toward its conclusion, family members shared quiet conversations and gentle interactions that revealed the natural family dynamics underlying their public roles. Children whispered questions to parents, while adults exchanged knowing glances about shared memories and traditions. These human moments provided glimpses of the genuine relationships that sustained them through their demanding public lives. The final hymn brought the entire congregation together in celebration that transcended the distinctions between royal family and local parishioners. Voices joined in Christmas praise that had been offered in this same location for generations, creating a link between past and present that embodied the continuity central to royal tradition. The music seemed to embrace everyone present in a shared expression of Christmas joy. As the service drew to its close, anticipation built for the family's exit from the church and their interactions with the crowds who had waited patiently outside throughout the worship. The transition from private spiritual reflection to public engagement would complete the dual nature of their Christmas morning experience, balancing personal faith with public service in a way that had come to define modern royal tradition. The peaceful atmosphere inside St. Mary Magdalene had provided exactly the spiritual foundation the royal family sought for their Christmas celebration, creating memories and moments of reflection that would sustain them through the busy holiday period ahead. The final notes of the closing hymn faded into the ancient rafters of St. Mary Magdalene Church as the Christmas morning service reached its conclusion. The royal family remained seated for a few moments, allowing the congregation to begin their exit before rising to take their leave. This small gesture of courtesy reflected their understanding that even in this sacred setting, protocol and consideration for others remained important elements of their public role. As they prepared to leave their pews, family members exchanged quiet words about the service, sharing observations about the sermon and the beautiful music that had marked their Christmas worship. These brief conversations revealed the genuine spiritual engagement that had characterized their participation, transforming what could have been merely ceremonial attendance into meaningful religious observance. The vicar approached to offer personal Christmas greetings to each family member, his joy at hosting this annual tradition evident in his warm smile and heartfelt words. These brief exchanges allowed for more intimate expressions of faith and gratitude than the formal service had provided, creating moments of authentic pastoral connection that both sides treasured as highlights of the Christmas celebration. Local church wardens and volunteers who had worked tirelessly to prepare for this day received personal thanks from various royal family members. Their contributions acknowledged with a genuine appreciation that characterized the family's approach to public service. These behind-the-scenes workers, who ensured everything from flower arrangements to security coordination proceeded smoothly, represented the community partnerships that made royal traditions possible. As the church doors opened to reveal the bright Norfolk sunshine, the sounds of the waiting crowds immediately filled the sacred space. Hundreds of voices calling Christmas greetings created an instant transition from the quiet reverence of worship to the celebratory atmosphere of public engagement. The royal family paused momentarily to adjust to this change, preparing themselves for the next phase of their Christmas morning tradition. The emergence from St. Mary Magdalene Church marked the beginning of the return journey to Sandringham House, but this portion of their morning would proceed at a much more leisurely pace. The crowd had grown considerably during the service, with late arrivals joining those who had waited patiently throughout the worship. Children who had been contained during the church service now bounced with excitement at seeing their royal neighbors once again. King Charles led the family into renewed engagement with the well-wishers, his Christmas greetings carrying the added warmth that came from having just participated in meaningful worship. The spiritual foundation of the morning seemed to enhance his natural ease with public interactions, creating genuine moments of connection that transcended the formal boundaries typical of royal encounters. Princess Catherine became particularly engaged with families in the crowd, her natural affinity with children enhanced by the Christmas morning atmosphere. She accepted numerous drawings, cards, and small gifts from young admirers, taking time to examine each offering and respond with personal comments that created treasured memories for the families involved. Her ability to make each interaction feel special reflected years of experience in royal public engagements. The children of the royal family displayed growing confidence in their public roles, their Christmas morning experiences having taught them valuable lessons about balancing natural childhood behavior with royal responsibilities. Prince George engaged in brief conversations with some of the older children in the crowd, while Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis distributed waves and smiles with increasing expertise. Queen Camilla's interactions with the crowds reflected the comfortable authority she had developed in her role, her genuine interest in people's stories creating meaningful exchanges despite the brief nature of each encounter. Her ability to remember faces and details from previous years had become legendary among regular attendees, who appreciated being recognized as individuals rather than anonymous members of a crowd. The return journey allowed for different perspectives on the Norfolk countryside, with the winter sun now higher in the sky and casting new shadows across the frost-covered landscape. The beauty of the morning continued to provide a perfect backdrop for this royal tradition, reinforcing the connection between the family and this particular corner of England that had become so central to their Christmas celebrations. Local residents formed a significant portion of those waiting along the return route, people who considered themselves genuine neighbors of the royal family during their Norfolk residence. These relationships, built through years of community involvement and shared local interests, added particular warmth to the interactions and demonstrated the authentic connections the family had developed with their country neighbors. Photographers captured countless images that would appear in Christmas Day publications around the world, but the genuine nature of the interactions meant that many of the most meaningful moments occurred beyond the reach of cameras. Quiet conversations, personal exchanges, and individual acknowledgments created memories that would be treasured by participants long after the media attention had moved elsewhere. The final approach to Sandringham House brought the public portion of Christmas morning to its close, but the warmth and joy generated by the morning's events would continue throughout the family's private Christmas celebrations. The successful balance of spiritual reflection, family tradition, and public engagement had created exactly the kind of Christmas beginning that had become the hallmark of royal holidays at Sandringham. As the gates of Sandringham House came back into view, family members could look forward to the private Christmas festivities that awaited them inside the estate. The morning's public duties had been completed with the grace and genuine engagement that characterized the best of royal tradition, providing both personal satisfaction and meaningful service to the thousands who had shared in their Christmas celebration. The return to Sandringham House marked not an ending, but a transition to the more intimate family celebrations that would occupy the rest of Christmas Day. The success of their morning journey to St. Mary Magdalene Church had set the perfect tone for continued celebrations, demonstrating once again how royal traditions could serve multiple purposes while remaining authentic to both personal faith and public service. Their Christmas morning walk had accomplished everything they hoped for: spiritual nourishment through meaningful worship, family bonding through shared tradition, and public service through genuine engagement with the communities that had welcomed them so warmly. The memories created would sustain both the royal family and their well-wishers throughout the Christmas season and beyond.